I'm here today with Mr. Viktor Handelman. Victor and I, we are good friends. We met in Barcelona, and we have been, hanging out and talking a lot about business and other stuff since then. So today I invited Victor to come here talk with me about building a business and also personal branding. So recently, more or less 3 or 4 weeks ago, I started spending more time trying to build my personal brand. I'm using LinkedIn, and I've had some interesting results so far that I will share later. But yeah, maybe Victor, you can introduce yourself a little bit before I jump into some questions.
Yes, absolutely. So, hey guys, Victor here. I'm the founder of a company called GenViral, which is basically a content creation tool utilizing various different AI tools aimed at allowing you to create TikTok slideshows, AI videos, whatever it may be, and then push that out to all kinds of different social media platforms. On top of that, we also launched a dedicated app that we then use to improve our own product and obviously understand our customer segment better, because most of our customers are also other app founders. And on top of that, as you may see from my background and everything, I'm also a digital nomad. I've been traveling for quite a few years now.
All right. All right. Thank you for the introduction. So let's start by talking a little bit about personal branding. I remember you started this on X, and you are very active on X. Right now, you have uh 6,500 followers. And I remember, I think it was like 1 or 2 years ago when we were talking, and you were like, you had like 500 followers, but you were posting like consistently, and you were also telling me to start doing it. How did you start, and how did you like grow your audience this fast?
So initially, I actually started because in my previous life I was a blogger, a full-time blogger. So when I entered X or the X sphere, I was doing that with the intention of connecting with other bloggers. And then over time, those blogs got killed by various Google updates, which made me pivot into the world of software as a service or SaaS products. And so the way I started out is actually more or less the way I still operate, which is that I was commenting on, other people's stuff, trying to be a part of the community. So for those of
Mhm.
you who don't know, I'm basically, or the community that I'm part of is called indie hackers, which are basically people who, hack away on their own products. And are effectively single person entities or companies. And so over time, basically, what I was doing is to just be helpful, engage in the community and everything. All of that being said, I did also take a bit of a break because for quite a bit of time, things weren't actually working as well. But then where it kind of shifted, and I think that's definitely the most interesting part for your audience, is that when we started a company, GenViral, we also had a use case of, for example, content that we could promote. So in our case, again, social media startup. So what we've been doing ever since, and that has worked really, really well for us, is that we share other people's content. Again, we're selling, for example, to app founders. So we're sharing case studies of content that is currently trending, working, so that our customer base or potential customers who don't know us yet can either find us or be educated about the stuff that's working. And the biggest advantage of that approach, at least in my opinion, is that it defers the responsibility of being interesting away from you as a person, because
Mhm.
not everybody is an interesting, engaging, charismatic person, towards the content that you're sharing. And so again, people will then not maybe follow you because you're interesting or not, but it's because you share interesting content that they can benefit from. On top of the fact that you become known in your industry as the person who's doing ABC. And so in our case, it really, really helps a lot also in terms of when I have a call with potential customers, they always think of us, and by us, I mean my co-founder and I, as kind of like experts in the space, and that really, really helps, especially during the calls.
Okay, okay. One thing that you always told me when you were doing this and I wasn't is like, be yourself, find your own voice, post about things related to your day-to-day life. Um, just getting like a bigger picture. What does personal branding means to you?
Oh, that's a great question. Honestly, it is for me. I'm the type of person who doesn't like to think about things too deliberately and strategically. That's why I enjoy what I'm doing, which is that for me, personal branding just means trying to implement an extension of who you are as a person. Hopefully, as many people resonate with that, because in the end, if you're trying to be somebody else, even if you're, for example, using AI to talk about things that maybe you're not that interested in to begin with, it'll always feel like a job and a drag on what it is you're doing. And oftentimes, I really just share a content that I find interesting and explain why I find interesting, or and that obviously helps being like a digital nomad, for example. I share things that I experience on my travels, people that I meet, events that I go to. And yeah, honestly, for me, especially as you continue growing, the more inauthentic you are, the harder it will be, and it will eventually just become a job. So I think of it always in the vicinity or the mind frame of mind of, being myself, and then hopefully as many people like that as humanly possible.
Yeah, and one thing also that I find interesting, like you were already a writer before, even before ChatGPT, you were doing like these writing articles, and for some time, SEO was your main occupation, your main business. And you told me that writing, it really helped you a lot, like with your thinking, with growing as a person. So not just the fact that you're putting out content out there, but also that it helps you grow. It helps you improve your thinking, and it's such a good skill to have, right?
Yes, 100%. I mean, again, we have limited amounts of time and battles that we can fight. And for me, it was always being a blogger, writing literally every day. Like, it was always important that I don't source that part out to AI. There's other people who have other things that are important to them. Again, we do an AI content creation startup. So, other people, if they create content vis-a-vis videos on TikTok, whatever, they would never use AI, because filming themselves, creating a story, editing, all that stuff is very important to them. So I think the first bit is just to figure out, hey, is that actually something that you want to work on? And then
Mm-hmm.
to your question, honestly, it's been tremendously helpful in terms of being able to express myself. I'm not a native English speaker. In fact, I think I had like a C or D in English when I graduated, and so it's been immensely helpful just to be able to express myself through the written word, but then also in conversations like these to, just have a larger vocabulary and then hopefully get a point across.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I'm also not a native English speaker, and for me, it helped, and it still helps a lot, just writing. Which is why I always tell people like the same thing that you were also telling me, like don't use AI for do the whole thing. Okay, maybe use it for some brainstorming or do some review, but don't use it for writing. Like don't outsource your thinking, because then what is it like? Are we just gonna outsource everything? When are we gonna stop thinking for ourselves, right?
100%, 100%. Again, it really just boils down to what it is that you want to spend time on and get better at, because we only have so much limited time. And I possibly write like, I would say 5 to 10 different tweets a day across different accounts, because my personal branding account is not just the only one. We have our GenViral accounts. We are building a newsletter to promote GenViral and some of our other products down the line. And so all of that is hopefully flowing into that, and then eventually it also translates into other skills. At least that's what I hope, in terms of creating videos and
Hmm.
creating engaging storylines around that video or these videos. And so again, I find it to be one of the more worthwhile skills to pursue, again,
Hmm.
especially in an age of AI where content generation, especially also text generation, can be done on a very cheap basis. And so developing
Yeah.
your own voice and identity, I think, is very, very important down the line.
Yeah, and I think it's because today, like, it's so easy to generate content, and also it became much easier to build. So I think that one of the things that can differentiate is putting your face out there, putting your voice out there. Like, people, they will connect with other people. Like, it's, I think it's easier that they connect with you than with just your app. Like, and my personal opinion is that more and more, people, they will buy less just brands and buy more like into other people, like, okay, who's the founder of this thing, who are the employees of this thing, like why are they building this, what is their mission. They will connect more with that, because for anything now there are like 10, at least 10, 20 options, right? Because everyone is building. And I think that's I don't know if I could say that it's a moat, but it's definitely like a differentiator. Um, let's talk a little bit about then personal branding for business. So you are using your X profile now as let's call it a lead generator for your business, right?
Now, not as much, to be fair. We're trying to build it up over time. I mean, the account itself is at, I think, 1.6K followers on X.
Okay.
So we haven't really done anything active apart from just the communicating bit.
But I mean
Uh,
your account, your personal account.
yeah, my personal. Yeah, sorry, I meant the company
Okay.
account is at
Yeah.
1.6K followers. So there again, we don't do much actively right now. Time is obviously limited. We are building it through our personal brand, and by we again, I mean my co-founder who has almost 12K followers on X. I have six and a half, and so to your point, we're trying to build our personal brands, and then
Mm-hmm.
Viral, our startup, is like an extension of
Is
that brand.
extension. But you are getting signups and subscribers and new customers through your personal accounts on Twitter, like both yours and your co-founders, right? On X.
Yeah, we actually track signups during the sign up onboarding flow, and I would say probably 3/4, so 75% currently is coming from Twitter, from X. Yeah.
Oh, well, from your personal accounts or also from the company's account? Do you track that as well?
No, we don't track it in that much detail. We
From
just ask.
Twitter itself.
Yeah.
Which is honestly incredible, because 75% and it's organic. You don't run ads on Twitter, right? On X.
No.
Um, and now we know that SEO has become like more and more difficult. Well, you know it. You were like a SEO specialist. So I think it's quite incredible that you're getting that many from X. Um, can you tell your current revenue with GenViral, or at least like some ballpark figure?
Yeah, last 30 days has been, I think, 13K, 13, 14K. So it's
Okay,
always hovering around
monthly,
that. Um,
monthly,
monthly, yeah. Last 30
monthly.
days. Yeah,
So
exactly. So 13,
that's
14K USD.
okay. Yearly would be something around like 150.
Yes, we only launched a
Yeah,
mail last year, so it's obviously
yeah,
a little hard
but
to
yeah.
extrapolate, but yes, for sure.
All right. So May last year, so that means more or less 9 months, which is quite good, like 13K for 9 months. Um, I spoke last time with another entrepreneur, and it took like 12 months to get to an initial revenue. So, and 18 months to get like to a livable salary, which is also not bad. But yeah, I think it's quite good that you're doing. Can you tell us a little bit about how you started? I think you met your co-founder. He was already doing this. How did you meet him? Also, I guess X also helped with that, right?
Yeah, 100%. So after the whole blogging thing, basically, I knew that blogging, the way I did it, meaning people search stuff through like Google, wasn't going to work in an age where you just ask ChatGPT for a straight answer. And so I always wanted to have my own company, always wanted to start businesses. I did that in the past many, many times over as well. And so effectively, once I figured out, hey, I can, create software by talking to to a chatbot.
Yeah,
That's kind of when it clicked. For those of you who don't know, actually, the first software product that I launched was together with Gibran.
yeah,
We did a AI transcription type of thing for, I believe,
yeah,
6 months or so. Learned many different things, especially also from Gibran, from you, in terms of how to set up a software project and everything else.
yeah,
And then, as I said, basically pivoted that into some other products. One is actually still alive. It's like a tool site which makes like around $500-600 a month right now, kind of like a little bit of a side project. But again, as I think said initially, also took a Twitter break just to focus on product building. In the meantime, again, because I'm a digital nomad, I was in Portugal. I was meeting people. One of them being one of the initial co-founders of GenViral, alongside my current co-founder, because the third co-founder actually departed in, I think, August or something last year. And yeah, basically just met my co-founder, like connected through him on X. We had like a phone conversation because like I just found him interesting, and I spent some time in Barcelona. He's from Barcelona. Never really thought about anything specific, really just make connections with those two guys. Then they announced the launch of GenViral, and I was at a point where I just wanted to work in a team again because I'm traveling. I was working on products by myself, didn't really have any reference point. And so I asked them if I can join, which they allowed me to do. And we then basically launched the product together and been relentlessly focused on making it work ever since. So that's been more or less my SaaS journey. I've been building now almost for 2 years SaaS product. So I think we launched the product at Gibbon and I did Node Vocal roughly in April 2024. And so it took, and we now went for the full time on GenViral in December or January. So it took almost 2 years, 1.5 years of working a lot
Grinding.
these
Yeah.
things, like a regular 8-hour day job that I had
Yeah.
during that time to be a full-time SaaS founder.
That's that's another thing that I notice with having personal branding, like having a good or a strong personal brand, is that like it helped you find your co-founder, right? And I saw this with other people as well. Like they actually got into some good conversations, and not just clients. They got like maybe co-founders or partners or whatever it is. So yeah, I think it's as another good side of evolve in your personal branding.
Just
All
maybe,
right.
just as an addition, sorry to interrupt, but one thing that it also helps with, I'm like in Bangkok right now, for example. Every Thursday we go on like a meetup with 20, 30 other indie hackers or founders.
Mm-hmm.
Just did a visa run in Da Nang, where literally every day I co-work with different people who I knew through X. And so just the exposure you get to other very, very interesting people who are, working on improving their life situation, that alone is already like worth it, because like you end up making a
Yeah.
lot of different friendships on top
Friends.
of.
Yeah. You told me that as well. You actually met some people in your travels that were from X. Like, and hey, let's go have dinner. Let's go have drinks, and that's really interesting. Going back into GenViral, what was your strategy in the beginning to either like validate it, and then getting like the first paying clients? What what did you try? What worked? What didn't work?
Mm. So, I mean, coming back to the power of X, my co-founders both had already good Twitter following at the time, and so when we launched it, we actually got to like I think $600 or $700 in MRR, like right off the bat, like within like 2 weeks or so,
Wow,
because of the
incredible.
strength of their personal brand. And then, I mean, it's been a lot of like iteration, a lot of just testing, a lot of throwing shit
Yeah.
against the wall, because then obviously people start realizing, okay, maybe it takes a little more time to get started, or maybe there are bugs or whatever. So a lot of
Mm-hmm.
it was just continuing to be in the community, to DM people. Like I was literally, for example, searching on X for people who like want to do slideshows, who are interested in social media. I
Mm-hmm.
was DMing them. We are building a lot of features that our customers wanted us to, that maybe the competition didn't have, such as, for example, a workspace
Mm-hmm.
feature that we released, and that got us like $399 a month customers, because a competitor product didn't have it. Again, lots of different testing. We did YouTube, for example, that was working quite well for some time, but then our channel got banned for
Uh,
undisclosed reasons. Reddit still is working quite well. I mean, and again, that's really the power of X. And that oftentimes extends to other platforms as well, which is that on X right now we have just fairly basic standard formats that we can always do. Like we share
mm-hmm.
like that's for slideshows or videos, and then we explain why they went viral, how many views they got, and that every now and then gets us like 100,000 views, 1 million views, whatever it may be. And through that, you get a consistent amount of traffic as well. And then, because I'm obviously the marketing co-founder, there's a lot of channels that we experiment all the time with. So right now, for example, we're doing Pinterest. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Going okay. We did ads, wasted like I think 1 to 2K USD on ads. That didn't work. SEO worked for some time. Now Google doesn't like our website anymore that much. So it is always that we experiment with all kinds of marketing channels and see, yeah, what's repeatable, especially, and what's not, and what's obviously then ROI positive.
So a lot about a lot of it is about like finding winning winner formats and then doubling down on that, like repeating that, right? Um, well, what type of ads did you try? Google ads, Meta ads?
Solely meta ads, because my co-founder
Sorry,
already
Meta
had
ads.
a previous business where he ran the meta ads through. And so honestly, we did it a little bit too lazily. I think we didn't do enough experimentation, because at the time we were also at like $500-600 MRR, and it was a little bit scary to put even
Yeah.
more money into ads.
Mm.
And ultimately, I think we got like one subscription out of paying like 1.5K or so. So yeah, I think we could have and should have probably experimented a bit more on Meta, and I still believe it's ROI positive, especially also because for our app, when we launched that, it's a cooking app. We
Hmm.
actually get a ROAS of like 2.5 to 3, I believe.
With
So
Meta ads.
exactly. For every dollar that we put in, we got $2.5 to $3 out,
Mm.
effectively. And so that was working really well. And I think it may just be the product, or it could have been the creative. But yeah,
Mm.
all just comes down to testing.
So you launched a new app and then you used GenViral to create the creatives for the ads for that app, right?
Yes, we do also. So some of the ads were AI based. We did a little bit of just filming ourselves as well, because again, we just tested a bunch of different
Mm-hmm.
creatives. So we did static images using Nano Banana Pro, which is like a AI model by Google, image model. We did a bunch of like video stuff, and then my co-founder, he's married, and his wife has or they certainly have a nice enough house for them to
Mm-hmm.
have big enough pantry.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, again, like the app allows you to scan your fridge, take photos of it. AI suggests recipes that you can make, or you can import recipes from TikTok, other social media platforms. Uh, and yeah, the point being is that we tested a bunch of different creators. It was successful. The reason just because we stopped now is we're testing other channels right now, Pinterest very heavily for the app, just to be able to assess if that is moving the needle. And then it turns out, yeah, it is quite positive. And now we're basically moving on to the next platform, which is going to be Facebook, uh, organic Facebook, that is. And then over time, we're going to start running ads again, as we're currently creating some of the assets for this.
Okay. Uh, who are your customers? Is it B2C, B2B, prosumers?
Yeah, so mostly it's B2B and prosumer mix, meaning
Mm-hmm.
on the B2B side, it's mostly like apps or larger apps who are like sometimes even venture funded, other agencies who create content on behalf of customers,
Mm-hmm.
app studios, so companies that run multiple apps. And then on the kind of like prosumer side, and that's where the power of X really comes in, is because there's a lot of people like, for example, me, that build products, apps, software products on the side next to their day job, and they are looking for a way to market those apps. And so, again, in the app marketing space is a lot of focus as well, because it is moving towards a lot of organic promotion vis-a-vis TikTok slideshows,
Mm-hmm.
shorts, whatever it may be. And then finally, another big customer segment are just e-commerce stores who are also using, for example, TikTok slideshows to promote their products.
All right. Um, recently, you have been talking a lot to customers, right? Um, how how does that work for you? Like, do you actively go and try to talk to them? Do they come to you? Do you also try to get into conversations with other people on eggs? How do you do these conversations?
So in the beginning, yeah, as I said, I did DM a lot of people just because we didn't have the reach that we needed to be able to get these calls. These days, I'm trying to not do that anymore, because we GenViral has hundreds of customers, and we run a scale businesses, again, especially in the B2B space, that works with all kinds of different other platforms, TikTok, Meta, etc. Which means there's a lot of things that maybe can go wrong. Customers have questions about how to create content, how to use the platform. And so right now, not proactively, but still, if people are interested in the product, they can and are booking calls through our website. And so I would say on average, I probably have now 5 to 7, 8 calls or so per week. not the craziest amount, but even then, it's enough to to close some of these calls to have enough inflow on top of all the stuff, all the organic stuff through eggs that we get. But yeah, point being, uh, I'm trying to not have too much of these because they are also very exhausting, very concentration breaking, especially when you're also responsible for other creative work like creating videos, creating meta ads, creative and everything, which
Hmm.
takes a lot of that
Yeah.
energy, that creative juice as well. So yeah, not that many.
Ti
Right.
yeah. Time and energy. Time and energy. Um, Talking about that creative juice, how do you split your tasks between you and your co-founders? And like, I know that you still deliver some things through Cursor, right? But he is the main developer and you take care more of marketing. How do you split your tasks and how do you split your time about like choosing what you're gonna do next?
Yeah. So I think the reason why I love being a founder is also just the reason that I don't have to work in super organized ways, which sometimes is good and sometimes maybe not as good in terms of being a bit too chaotic. And so I don't really have any set days or anything. Like each day is different in terms of how I started. For example, today I had like 2 customer calls, and then I did a bit of other marketing stuff. Plus, then I improved some of our like code base or like fixed the bug, improved our blog section. Yesterday, I prepared like a launch video for OpenClaw skill that took like 3 4 hours. Then I did TikTok content yesterday to promote our business. So point being is no day is like the other. And that's why I really, really enjoy what I'm doing. In terms of the split responsibility, 100%, my co-founder is the one who's the technical person. And whenever there's something that requires a lot of editing a lot of touch points, like changing the credit system or releasing new feature that that will touch a lot of the existing features. He's the one who's working on these because yes, he's a developer and he's a rock star developer, so to say.
Yeah.
I'm more the one that comes in if small things are breaking, especially isolated things, so that he can really focus on the higher value things.
Mm.
Really be the kind of like rock star that he is.
Yeah, the founder's life is never boring. It's always lots and lots of things to do. How many hours are you usually working per day?
So right now I'm actually hosting a hacker house or founder house here in Bangkok. So that's why you see the curtain behind me, because there's 3
Yeah.
other guys wildly walking around. And the intention of that was actually that we just have 1 month of relentless focus and work. So right now it's literally like I would say 12 to 14 hours every day.
Monday to
Since
Monday.
24/7, 24/7. So every day, every every working day. Um, I would say normally, if that is not the case, it's like between 45 to 50 hours. I mean, again, I don't
Per
actively
week.
track working hours or work. What is always a problem, and I think every founder struggles with it,
Hmm.
is that while you may not actively work on something, I don't know, creating a blog post or whatever, you're still thinking about the business
Yeah.
all the time, or you're having conversations with people, which is also some sort of like indirect work, so to say. So, but actively working, I would say being on my chair on a table, I would say 40 to 45 hours, and then probably so many more hours where you just think about the business, you're like researching stuff, all that stuff. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. Tell us a little bit more about the Hacker House. So you're in Bangkok and you organized this. You interviewed some indie hackers. How's the experience so far?
Yes, yes. So, I mean, the impetus of this was that there's actually a thing called Hacker Residency Group, which is basically a more sophisticated hack house. They did their first batch in November, I believe, in Da Nang, Vietnam, and invited basically like the crop of the crop in terms of like the indie hacker scene. So people having like 6-digit amount of followers, having 50K MR or whatever it may be. The thing though is, for those of you who don't know, kind of like the spirit of like the indie hacker scene is really that of like, you move to Southeast Asia, maybe you have like a year worth of savings and you hack away, spending minimum amounts of money. And that was basically the intention with which I launched the thing, which was that when they announced their thing or when they had that ongoing, I did a video on X. And again, coming back to the power of X, I said, hey, this is not really the spirit of indie hacking. It's like, $1
Yes.
noodles. It's like 300 sleeping on a mattress type of thing. And so I think roughly 30 to 40 people applied, which meant that and by the way, so the house itself, I pay for it. I pay for some of like groceries, food, and everything, cleaning, and then they paid for the just the transport and everything. And again, just had a bunch of conversations with many inspiring people. Picked the three most fitting one. Also, just not in terms of what I do business wise, but more so also just knowing, hey, these are like really good personalities, good people, and that really has borne out. Like it's been super fun just to hang out with these guys as well. They're all again more like in the beginning stage, meaning they have products, and these products are, I don't know, at $100 MRR. I think one is at like 1K MRR, and then another one is like 2K or something like that. So they're still like in that sense beginners, I would say. Plus, they also wanted to like build more of their personal brand and use that as an option. And so that in of itself has already been super beneficial for them to get exposure, but then also for me getting tips from them, being around like-minded people. There's one guy who's like legit a genius, and he used created an OpenClaw skill to, excuse me, uh, scan Reddit and then allow me to find relevant subreddits that I can comment on. Literally did that within within like a day, and now I'm using it for free, getting leads through Reddit. Or just like
Nice.
another example, we were trying to implement like a certain TikTok text font, weren't able to do it. He literally just said, "Hey, why don't you use ABC?" And then half an hour we had it, and while we spent like multiple hours before of our time trying to figure this out. And so just being around like-minded people, being around smart people, being around people who maybe have different
Hmm.
skill sets is so beneficial. And on top of that, if you then make great friendships and get along well, I think that's yeah, it's a great experience.
Yeah. Nice. Nice. Um, Tell me a little bit about now. It's very trendy. Oh, it cooled down a little bit, but it's still very trendy. What are you using OpenClaw for?
So that was one thing. So the Reddit agent basically, which only works with my machine is on. So if you have, for example, a Mac Mini that runs 24/7, that would work. Otherwise, it basically uses it's a Chrome extension that uses your browser, in this case Chrome, obviously, and then it scans Reddit and it surfaces based on my specification, which is the last 6 hours, relevant subreddits that I can comment on for GenViral and our cooking app. So, for example, people asking what they are using for social media schedulers, or how do you manage to publish that much content without going crazy and logging into all these accounts? And then I'm like, hey, there's a thing called GenViral. Maybe try it out. It's a great product. So that's one use case, and then the second one is actually our own product because we released a GenViral OpenClaw skill. So
Uh,
effectively, what that allows you to do is that vis-a-vis our dedicated API, you can use a chatbot. So in my case, I'm using Telegram, but other people may use WhatsApp, Discord, whatever else is available. And then I can chat with the chatbot and tell it to create content for me. So in this case, slideshows, for example, or I can ask it to find trending content, trending videos. So I tell it, hey, I'm in the niche of cooking. Please find me trending videos in the last 7 days that I can then analyze and see, maybe I want to copy them. Maybe there's a creative angle that I haven't explored yet. We have analytics and everything integrated. So it's like a self-improving system where it takes your performance data of a given account that you have connected, and then it says, okay, this post worked really well. Let's try and find a slightly different angle and then replicate that post and publish it again. And so these are the two things that I'm actively using the skills for. And obviously our own skill is the one that we are improving now every day. I think a new feature is going to come out today where you can actually generate AI images and videos
mm.
within your Telegram chat and then post those to your social accounts as well. So yeah, these are the two.
All right. Good use cases. I like it. I like it. So what are some of your challenges right now? Like, what are you having trouble with? Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, so the biggest focus right now is just that we simply don't have enough time to manage all the things that we want to do. So, again, because we run a B2B business and it is a fairly complex business, there are things that may be breaking, things that people have questions about. I do also always strive to, if it's possible, send customers like Looms and explainer videos. And so what we are currently heavily focused on, apart from obviously the OpenClaw skill and everything, is to multiply ourselves, so to say, through, for example, we just released a new improvement of our AI assistant, so now it can answer any question that a customer has about a product. We re-record knowledge-based videos all the time. We'll do like interactive demos and everything. So one important thing again is really just to get a little bit more leverage on our time. That is really, really important for us. Secondly, we've seen a little bit of the power of X in that when we around like December, January, we had like viral formats that worked super, super well. And right now, everything has kind of shifted towards OpenClaw, which meant that our previous viral formats are not performing as well. Pretty sure they will come back in the coming days. As kind of like the hype probably dies down a little bit. But what it made us realize is that ultimately we also need to focus more on other acquisition channels, just because only relying on one or having one primary one over time, there's too much platform risk involved. And so, for example, before this call and then possibly after, I'm recording videos right now for YouTube. So I'm trying to do like a long form video every now and then. I'm doing short form videos on TikTok and everything. Obviously, that's where our customers are. So this is where we obviously should also be. And so again, the point really is, or the goal really is to find other platforms through which we can find customers. We're also currently just dropped a bunch of money onto different backlinking services so that we can accelerate our SEO growth as well. So yeah, basically again, having less operational involvement because revenue-wise, we're not there yet to hire people.
Mm.
And again, having not that fall onto us as much as possible. And then B, just really exploring different marketing channels so that we're less reliant on X, which we're still gonna continue to do. But
Mhm.
just having like one or two more channels would certainly make us sleep a little better at night.
Yeah, it's funny how some challenges, like from my talks to other founders, they are kind of similar. So, for example, this thing with things shifting very fast. So, something you are doing this week might not work next week. And before AI was okay, like you invested a lot of time into SEO, and it worked for you for a long time. You knew that 3 months from now, 6 months from now, it was still gonna work. And now it's just like, okay, we're doing this format now. Maybe next week the algorithm changes, and boom, it's not gonna work anymore. So yeah, big challenge for other people as well. Yeah, multiple platforms.
By the way, also it supports literally what you said of building a personal brand because regardless of the format, if people know you, if people like you, um, any format can be replaced.
Yeah,
It's just you who utilizes that format, and that obviously makes you much more independent of platform changes, algo changes, whatever.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Um, yeah, and less operational time, like kind of finding ways of automating things, I guess, and taking them out of your hands so you can focus on things that actually grow, right?
100%, 100%.
Yeah. You said that you cannot hire people yet. Did you did you consider getting funded, or are you specifically keen on taking the bootstrapped route?
So we did actually have, I think, 3 or 4 investor calls,
Mm,
but they said that they would potentially be interested. I always said, thank you for the call. We probably would just stay independent just because we don't really need the money. My co-founder has a dev agency as well, through which he gets enough money to support himself. I was doing freelance for a long time and been able to save enough money on top of my blogs, for example. They still make passive money. I, as I said, have other products that make me money, plus again my savings. So that, and on top of the fact we can probably build every feature that it is that we need. So in that case, we don't need money that way. And we also wouldn't really know what to use the money for. And if
mm,
we don't really know what to use the money for, if we don't have any like scalable channel, let's say, for example, Meta ads or Google ads, whatever it may be, UGC ads, whatever, then there's no need to have money in the bank or dilute your company or ownership. And so yeah, we've talked to people, but there hasn't been really anything that would have made us consider, raising money from other people.
Okay, so you're not against it, but if you're gonna do it, you're gonna do it with some purpose. Like, okay, we need money specifically for this. We need to scale meta ads. We need to hire these people. We need to do this. Right now, um, you don't have like a specific goal for that money. I mean.
Yes, that plus, I mean, as you said, things are very volatile. Like even in
Mm-hmm.
the 9 months that I've been working on the business, like we pivoted so many different times.
Mm-hmm.
And so that plus then committing to employees and potentially having to tell them like, hey, 6 months later, hey, I don't know, Google just one
Mm-hmm.
shot at our product. We have to pivot again. Um, yeah, so we're very cautious. Plus, I do believe that if that would ever be the case that we wanted to do that, so raising money, then it would also just make it for much easier conversation, and we would probably get much better terms having, I don't know, 30K
Mm-hmm.
MRR, 40K MRR, 50K MRR, than guys who are still trying to make it, who maybe not have the
Yeah.
financials to warrant the type of valuation that we would need to get out of this.
Mm-hmm. Another another point that I take from this is this also came from some of other conversations that I had is it's really important that you have financial resilience. Like you had savings, you worked for a long time to have those savings. You have other projects making you money on the part on the side, and I think this is really important because you don't know how long it's gonna take for business to really take off, right? So I think this is really important for everyone who's thinking about getting into business, right?
I mean, ultimately, it just depends on who you are as a person and your living situation. Like, I was just in Da Nang when I did the visa run. I met two kids, like early 20s. They just dropped out of university 1 year before graduation. They moved to Asia with like, I don't know, half a year or a year or so worth of savings. And they just said, screw it, let's just try it. Like we only live once. Versus if you have a family maybe to feed, you have a mortgage to pay,
Mm-hmm.
things of that nature, the calculus is obviously completely different. And
Different, yeah.
so, ultimately, yeah, it just depends on your risk appetite, depends on who you are as a person. Like I, for example, it's something that I would like to improve on by myself, but I don't cope super well with stress. Like it dilutes my thinking, makes me do all kinds of stupid things. And so I needed that cushion and that security of, knowing that even if that company fails, I'll have a roof above my head. I can still live a good life and everything. And other people, for them, it might not be as important. And so they should do, or you should, just as a general advice, just do whatever you think is best in terms of your
Mm-hmm.
situation. But then also, if you have a family, you have a
Yeah.
girlfriend, wife, whatever, or a husband, then obviously do that in conversation and accordance with what they also are comfortable with.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. I agree. So you and your co-founder, you're still not taking a salary from GenViral.
Yes, that's correct. So right now I mean, as I said, for example, today we dropped a bunch of money onto like SEO services. We do have, like, technically we have employees. We have virtual assistants from like the Philippines that we pay. Um, we have ongoing costs because we're an AI content generation platform. So the margins on those are not like crazy high like traditional software had with like 80-90% or so, but obviously a little lower because people, they use AI videos,
Yeah.
video features and everything heavily. So yeah, point being is because it's not urgent for us to get money out of the business, we rather make sure that we grow it healthily and sustainably, so that, I don't know, maybe a year or so down the line, if we want to pay ourselves, we can do that. Plus, I mean, it helps. Again, also just to talk about X one more time, I've recently became monetized there. So X actually, or Twitter, for those of you who haven't used it in a while, they released like a creator
Mm-hmm.
share program similar to what YouTube has, and you can basically make money by through actually promoting your business. So I don't just get to market my brand, but I also can make money through the creator revenue share, and that so far I've gotten like $2,500 out of it. That is, I mean, for
Wow.
hosting existence. But now that I'm monetized, I would assume I'll probably make like between $300, $500, $600 or so every month. And then obviously
Wow, that's really good.
it's not
From
bad,
just
right? Like,
from just posting about your business.
exactly. And I mean, on top of that, like if you're here in Southeast Asia, like Bangkok, maybe not as much, but if you're in Da Nang, where I just came from, you could probably live on like $1,000 a month easily, very, very easily actually. Um, and so, yeah, even with that, like there's already ample ways to make money, and yeah,
All
without.
right. Yeah, that's interesting. It's really interesting. Yeah, sadly, YouTube doesn't have that. Sorry, LinkedIn doesn't
Yeah.
have that. Um, I I am considering going to X as well. I think it's interesting, not just because of this. Of course, it's not like that much, but yeah, it's it's not irrelevant. Um, let's talk about SEO. So you were a SEO specialist, and you had this with your business where it got like it got duped by Google, I guess. Like all the visits, they went down a lot. Do you think SEO is still relevant, or and how do you think it changed from previously just doing SEO, and now you have AEO, GEO, like this SEO for search engine optimization? What do you think about this?
Well, so now SEO is definitely highly relevant still. The type of SEO or the way my blog was monetized, that part is basically done for. Which was I was writing about how companies make money. So one blog was about business, basically. The other one was about Starlink, the SpaceX / Elon Musk internet, and basically people would just have questions about the product or about like a company, whatever. They would find my blog, which would hopefully rank on number 1, 2, whatever. Click on the blog, and I would make money through ads. And that was very profitable because again, you didn't have AI agents answering literally every question tailored to you and your question, that specific question. That model is, I would say, almost dead, and that's okay. Things move on. However, SEO I think is still very alive and kicking in the sense that on everything transactional. So if you have any monetary query, for example, we try to rank for things like Pinterest scheduler, Facebook scheduler, TikTok slideshow generator. So these things which have, to a certain extent, a commercial intent. And if you manage to rank for these, they're still super valuable and people are still putting a lot of money into these things. The secondary benefit of that is actually that a lot of these companies, i.e. ChatGPT or OpenAI, Anthropic, etc., they are mostly just using Google results or Bing results to suggest the stuff that the AI suggests. Because obviously they can't have their own index. It's very expensive and costly to run. And also they're not going through like 50 different search results. They're most often just taking the first, 5 to 10 results just to save on tokens. And then are recommending those to their user. And so that's why we are still investing links into SEO so that we're ranking for these types of terms. B, that's why we're also doing a lot of Reddit because Google has a search deal with Reddit. I think OpenAI as well.
Mm-hmm.
Which means if your comment or your product is being mentioned often in, let's say, Reddit, you also have a high chance of being recommended in ChatGPT, in Claude, and whatever. And what we do see from the customers that we have is that the conversion rate that you get through them is just much, much higher, even higher sometimes than traditional search. Because again, you not just have intent, you probably have people who trust the
Mm-hmm.
chat assistant to give them a good recommendation. And so that is still highly, highly valuable and still something that every company, I think, should invest money in. In terms of like these AI geo tools and everything, I met like a few founders actually here on my travels as well. A lot of times what they are apparently doing is just they're literally just asking the API back and then just trying to infer, okay, if I ask the API a question about a certain topic or product, how oftentimes is your product being mentioned? That's how often your product is being mentioned in LLMs. But that's obviously not representative because just
Mm-hmm.
like OpenAI and everything, they all work machine learning based. They all work based on your chat history. And so they will also only suggest products that are, akin to what you've searched before or how you
Mm-hmm.
interact with the AI assistant. There is apparently a bit more sophisticated things going on right now. That's what I heard. I'm not exactly sure how and which products offer that. But we really just traditionally invest time into SEO and then hope that through investing into SEO, we'll also get the benefits through the AI chat assistants. Yeah.
Mhm. Okay, so it's definitely not that, just changed. It's not as before, where you just try to rank and write these high ranking articles. Now you need to take a whole, uh, a more like complete strategy where you take in consideration like Reddit. I heard that LinkedIn articles, they can rank quite well as well. YouTube videos, things like this, right?
Yeah, correct. So what you're referring to is called Parasite SEO, which basically means like you're piggybacking off of another domain's authority. In
Mm-hmm.
this case, LinkedIn. People do it with Medium. I think Substack. Any platform that indexes the content on Google and makes it readable is ripe for this type of marketing. We haven't
Mm-hmm.
really done that with LinkedIn or Medium or anything. We just mostly do Reddit because it also is the one that looks the most genuine. If you just see a comment, you wouldn't suspect that it's me, the founder. It's just you see a comment, somebody recommends it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or DI as well. It just sees the comment and then just thinks, okay, some Reddit user recommended it. So yeah, all of these things are very valuable. I think, especially with AI, from what I've been told, you just want to be in as many different places as possible because they just check these sources, and so the more often you show up, the more likely it is that the AI will then pick you as kind of like one of the winners that it recommends.
Yeah. And it's really difficult to figure out what's exactly working, right? Because it's not as if like LLMs are open source. So how can you tell that ChatGPT is indexing is it's finding your content easier to to reach if you do this or that, right? It's very difficult. As you said, it's not just matter of consulting an API and see how much your product is called. It's I think it's much more difficult than before when you would just like basically check the ranking results for keywords on Google, right?
Anything, I mean, the moment content creation starts to become easier, it doesn't mean that ranking or like getting exposure becomes easier. It just means that you need to work harder or you need to be more creative to get that exposure. Because if everybody can just one click an article, AI video, and image, then the mode is not content generation anymore. It's
Yeah.
taste, it's
Yeah.
finding marketing angles or platforms that other people
Yeah.
are not considering or experimenting with. Yeah, the mode just shifts towards other things.
Yeah. Hmm. All right, Victor, we are reaching the final of our scheduled time. So to finish, I would just ask you to give people some advice, like people who are starting or people who want to start or who are struggling to get their first client, their first revenue. You have been doing this for a long time. What advice would you give people?
I think the one it's very hard, and I'm incredibly lucky, but I think finding yourself like a co-founder, somebody who you can trust, somebody who is equally as hardworking, somebody who's maybe talented in other aspects of business building or product building or whatever, somebody who you then also have to who you can talk with about things that are not going well, who you can strategize with. So many different advantages. That has also makes the highs that much higher and the lows not as bad, I feel like. So again, and finally, also just it allows me, for example, to focus on my marketing, him focus on what he does best, development. It was the same when we worked together as well. It's like, especially if you think about AI being an amplifier of whatever it is that you're doing, um, wouldn't then having a second person that is equally as motivated, talented, hardworking as you not be an even greater amplifier of your output and then ultimately the company that you're trying to create? And so it isn't easy, but that A would be my advice, and then B, just like I did, don't do anything with like intention in terms of relationships. Just be out and about, meet people, be a connector, be genuinely interested in what other people are doing. You literally never know what it leads to. And these two things combined, it's I always say it like the reason why we have the business that we have right now is not my talent, it's my co-founder talent, it's the combination of the two of us.
Yeah.
And it's been great, and I assume it will continue to be a great journey.
All right. To finish, one thing you would do differently?
One thing that I would do differently. Uh I think honestly, maybe we're a little bit too shy in terms of investing money sometimes. There's still quite a bit of money in our business bank account, and I wish I could sometimes just be a little more brazen and just have a more risk tolerant mentality and just do. So yeah, just be a little bit more risk taking. I think I would love to be that about myself more.
All right. Thanks a lot, Victor, for coming, for showing up, for this really interesting conversation. I had a lot of fun with it, and people, please subscribe to my channel. And Victor, if you want to leave some final words?
Yeah, so if anybody wants to follow my journey again, I'm talking about everything from our company to my travels to things that come to mind and I see. If you look for online dopamine, because it is very joyful to make money online. If you look for online dopamine, then you'll find me across many different channels. I go on Twitter. I do daily, or not daily, but I do videos, talking at videos on TikTok and everything every now and then. You'll find me. Feel free to follow. If you have any questions about GenViral, you can always book a call via the website and reach out
All
there.
right, I'll leave the links to Victor's profile and to his business in the description. And see you next time. Cheers.
Bye bye, guys. Cheers.